Not backing down. The Turkish President Recep Erdogan saying that Turkey would not withdraw its forces from Syria until other countries pull out. This is Erdogan is getting set to visit President Trump at the White House next week. We bring in John Hanna. John, a former national security advisor to Vice President Cheney and senior counselor at the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. John, it's always good to see you. So Erdogan's coming to the White House next week. What do you make of these comments? I mean, there are a number of other countries, and we could show you the countries that have troops there in Syria. Turkey, of course, leading the way, but Russia, Iran, and even the U.S. troops that haven't left. What do you make of Erdogan's comments?
Well, unfortunately, I think he's right that those troops are going to be there for some period of time. President Trump ceded that safe zone to Erdogan about a month ago. And I think at this point in time, the only player that's got real leverage at some point in time to get Erdogan out is probably Vladimir Putin, not Donald Trump.
Yeah, they have more troops there, certainly, as we just showed you. The meeting next week at the White House, what should we expect? I guess there's two parts. Is it a good idea for President Trump to meet with President Erdogan at the White House? And then what should we expect? What do you say?
Well, I've got a real problem with it. I mean, Erdogan has even though he's a NATO ally, has been on a tear in terms of hurting U.S. interests. Obviously, we've had this crisis in northeastern Syria where he said his troops were going in regardless of whether the U.S. liked it or not. He's bought a very advanced Russian air defense system against U.S. wishes. Hamas, the Palestinian terrorist group, has got an operational hub that works out of Turkey. We've got all kinds of problems with the Turks, and I don't see how they've actually won themselves another meeting at the White House.
That's going to happen, though, Wednesday, I believe. While you're here, I want to go to another part of the region, John, with rockets fired at an Iraqi base that houses U.S. troops in the last few hours, from what we understand. There have been a lot of protests in Iraq. It's really been going on for the last 6 weeks. I don't know how many people know about it, but more than 250 demonstrators have been killed. This has been a violent crackdown by the security forces there, who reportedly opened fire on a protest in front of a government building in Basra yesterday and killed 4, injured more than 100. So we're showing some video of this. What should Americans know about what's happening in Iraq right now?
Well, one thing is that, as you said, I think this is probably one of the most unreported stories on the face of the planet at this time. The importance of this is hard to overstress. These protests by predominantly Shiite Iraqis have at their core an anti-Iranian purpose. Iraqis are fed up with Iranian interference, with the IRGC's domination of Iraq's politics through their military and political proxies that control the Iraqi government. If this revolution is successful, it will be, Connell, a fatal blow against that Islamic Republic regime in Iran, not only crippling its efforts to establish a land bridge across the entire northern tier of the Middle East, but it could genuinely inspire Iranian Shiites to rise up against that Islamic regime in Tehran.
You think that's a legitimate concern for the regime there, a similar uprising, a spreading of this?
I think there's no question. They worry about it short-circuiting their plans to dominate the Middle East, but more importantly, they see this as an existential threat to the integrity and legitimacy of the Iranian theocratic regime itself. So there are huge stakes here. They're prepared to kill a lot of people in Iraq if they need to save their position, and I think the Trump administration has really got to wake up both to the enormous opportunity that exists here to deal a blow to the Iranians, but to provide support to these protesters and make it clear through diplomatic and political means that Iran will, and the Iraqi government, if they go along with Iran, will pay a huge price here.
We'll watch, maybe even closer than we have been, what's been happening in Iraq. John Hanna, thanks for coming on. We always appreciate it.
Thank you, Connell.